Hey there again. It's Don't F with your people. Having another episode here. It's been a minute. I wanted to kind of take on a topic that's maybe a little bit out there. It's certainly got a wide range of applicability. It applies to a lot of different things. So I decided to kind of approach it from a concentric circles. In other words, we're going to start from a very inner circle and then work its way out to the bigger picture. And so what I'm talking about here is the concept of keeping the main thing the main thing. And this can be applied to a lot of different areas of your life. At any given time, you can just stop and say, okay, are we keeping the main thing the main thing? Are we maintaining our focus on the right things at this point in time? So, the first place I would start is at the very, very center is like the minute task. You sat down at your desk, you were going to do something, and then suddenly you're off, down a YouTube wormhole, and you really were supposed to sit down and pay bills. That's not keeping the main thing the main thing. It's easy to get distracted, and so that's a very simple version of it. Probably no harm, no foul in that case. You can get the bills done, and catch up rather quickly. Other tasks, maybe not so simple. I know it's oftentimes people will go into their garage to get a tool to work on something that needs to be fixed before, something else can get done. And suddenly they're in the garage and they're looking in a toolbox and they see, a can of bolts that got spilled, and now they're picking those up and they're sorting them out, and suddenly 15 minutes later they didn't get the tool and they haven't fixed the lawnmower to finish the mowing of the lawn, and suddenly their spouse is hollering at them because they got to leave for the soccer game and the lawn's not finished, and it got distractions by another problem, and they just simply lost focus on the main thing at that time. There's also, in problem solving, a lot of times you'll be in search of the solution to the problem and kind of get distracted by the symptoms. You're solving the problem and trying to make sure that you come up with a solution, but you're distracted by the symptoms. And the symptoms in a lot of cases are just the outcomes of the problem, but not really the problem. And so you're off chasing things that might appear to be the problem, but they're really just things that are a result of the bigger problem, and you don't really get to the root cause of it. So putting a Band-Aid on an infection is going to cover up the infection, but simply not make the infection go away like an antibiotic would for as an example, which is kind of gross. Sorry to bring that up as the great example for you, but now you kind of understand what I'm saying at least. There's also then, let's say in your job, do you understand what success looks like? Are you delivering the right results and outcomes? Hey, do you know what those look like? Are you in sync with what your boss, your manager is expecting from you? Have you had this conversation? Maybe you did when you first started. Maybe it's been a minute since you've had that conversation. Are you sure that you're still in sync? And maybe it's been a year since you had your last review. I always like to say, if you or the people that work for you or your boss have a surprise during your review, then one of you or both of you aren't doing your job very well. Reviews shouldn't be about surprising one another with something that's either bugging you as an employee or something you really want to make sure you get straightened out with your associate. It's like, don't wait for the reviews. Get that stuff handled right away, and the review should be a review of the things that went on during that previous period of employment or whatever. So touch base with your employer, your manager, your boss, however you want to address it. Make sure that you are doing the right things, that you're focused on the main thing at that time and getting the results and delivering the results that you want to do. Now, another example of doing and focused on the main thing, I will say this. There were times in my career that I would be going along doing a great job, and I would start thinking about what's that next position? What's my next promotion gonna be? And I'd start thinking about that. It's like, well, if that guy takes that job and this gal gets that job, then that'd be a very logical next position for me. And I'd start be thinking about that, and I should, maybe I should, read that book, and that would get me ready for that, or go to that class. And suddenly, I'm not focused on the main thing, which is doing my current job to the best of my ability and kicking ass in that job. And eyes off the ball. Now I'm not very attractive because I missed this thing, I didn't do that report well, or whatever, the blocking and tackling of my current job. And so suddenly you're not in line for that next promotion because you weren't really a top performer at your current job because you were eye off the ball, thinking about something else. So keep making the main thing to ensure that you're in line for that next promotion. Anyway, now, say you got that promotion. Now, does your team understand what the main thing is? And, you might say, well, of course they do. We talk about that. There's meetings, we have management meetings and stuff like that. But are you sure they do? Have you really asked them? Do they understand it in detail? Do they know what that looks like, and what that looks like to them? Have you really explained it in terms that they understand and what a day in the life means to them? Because a lot of times information is communicated out in such a general way that people go, that sounds great, but I don't know what that means to me. I don't know what I'm supposed to do about that new release or about that new, promotion that we just put out. What do you need me to do? And they haven't been able to convert that to what does that change for my day in a life on this job. And even if they heard it once, it is said that a lot of times they need to hear it up to 7 times to truly understand it. So making sure that you deliver the message, you translate it into terms that they understand, and you repeat it, and you give it to them over and over in terms that make sense, and that you give them the tools that they need to get it done well and to be successful. And back in the day when there was less technology available to make this more easily done, Disney, when they used to pick up customers in the parking lot, it was said that they would tell the patrons that as they were taking them in the tram up to the parks, that they would tell them 13 times what space that their car was parked in, A3, lot A, spot 3 or zone 3, whatever, 13 times on that journey, and that was the magic number of times they needed to be told for that to stick in their mind. I don't know if that's 100% true or if that was urban legend, but one of the people I worked with was a huge Disney fan and their service levels, and that was a quote from him. So I'm just going to go on that as probably being pretty close to true. Now I'm going to take a big quantum leap to a different concentric circle about the main thing being the main thing, and say, think about what's the main thing for you. What do you want to be when you grow up? Well, what I mean by that is, like, do you know what's important to you as you look at your career and you look at, maybe you're a kid at this point, you're going into college and you don't really know what you want to be. Maybe it's as simple as saying, do I want to sit behind a desk? Do I want to be in an office? Do I want to be outside? Do I want to be physically active? Those are all valid questions, and you need to know what makes you happy. Job satisfaction is awfully important, and when you're young, you don't honestly know what all of that means. I thought I was going to be an actuary because I read that I was good at math, and my guidance counselor had a book that said math skills, highest paying job was an actuary. That was for me. I wanted to make a lot of money. Well, it turns out actuaries are number crunching and pretty much introverts. And I'm not an introvert. I would not have been very happy. It also turns out that, according to my math professor, that I was a good math student, not a great math student. So he indicated that probably to make sure that I had good job opportunities. I did not want to put all of my eggs into the actuarial basket. So nonetheless, I pivoted and became a finance major with a math minor. Nonetheless, I had to figure out what I wanted to do and to be successful and to find a good work-life balance and to work with people. I found the thing that made me happy. Also, over time, found out what was the right work-life balance for me. I spent a lot of time at work. I dedicated time to work. That was a decision I made with my wife at that time, is that she was going to stay home with the kids and take care of all of that side of the house. And I was going to earn, and I was going to work, and I traveled for work, and all of that stuff was a sacrifice that we made. You may not choose to do that, but that's the things you need to think about, and making sure that you're keeping the main things the main thing. And that's not the same for everybody. The next thing, another quantum leap. What do you want your legacy to be? And this is the main thing. Now, the word legacy can be a little bit tricky, and I actually don't like using it, but I don't know what else to use. I guess I'll put it like this, and this can be a little morbid when you say it like this, but when you're at your funeral, I mean, the funeral's for you, so maybe you're able to see this, maybe you're able to read people's minds, but when people are sitting at your funeral, what are they remembering you for? What is the thing you want to be remembered for? What, in other words, was your main thing? What's the thing that your family members, your friends will be thinking about you when you're gone? And so essentially, that is probably truly defining what your main thing was. What is it that they remember about you? I remember sitting at my grandparents' funerals, and I remember the things that were said about them, and it was lovely to know what kind of characters they were and the things that they meant to their communities and to their families, and it set a great example for the things that I wanted to be as I got older and older. It wasn't necessarily the things I think I thought I wanted to be when I started into my adult life, and probably had a different idea of what that was going to end up looking like. And I think as I got older, just sharing my personal perspective, the group of people I really thought would be at my funeral or really needed to be at my funeral probably got smaller and smaller as I got older. And your inner circle, your closest friends and your family are those that are most important. Now, do I think other people will show up? Other people that you've had an impact on in your life will show up? Absolutely. And do I have a good idea of what they'll think about me? I think so. But the main thing is I think I was good to people, a nice person, and that they will absolutely appreciate me. So with that, I appreciate you coming to this channel. If you like the things I'm saying, click the like. If you would like to hear more wisdom, leadership, guidance, stuff like that, subscribe to the channel. I'll keep putting stuff out there for you. Thanks a lot.